you know that there are only 2 states in the entire United States that don't offer any form of gaming? And then there are approximately 8 to 10 states that offer just traditional lottery gaming, which is what the state of Georgia has. And then all of the other states, all of them, offer VLT gaming or greater.
Executive Editor, 8-time Premier Award winner joining us, Mr. Leary.
Gentlemen, as some suggest, this is merely fool's folly. You guys are chasing the wind. Commissioner, you know politics as well, if not better than anybody. Can this be done? Has it been? You've been scoffed at many times. Approaching this year. Is this the year?
Well, I'm not sure that this is the year for full gaming casinos like I have advocated for some 25 plus years now, as well as horse racing. I'm not sure that this is the year. But what I can say, though, is that Georgia will one day have full gaming casinos and horse racing. Now, by way of background, those of you who have been around for a while, you would recall that as a young city council member, I first saw new sources of revenue in Georgia, a major attraction. Going back a few years, we were, at that point in time, a major convention city. We still are, but we're not among the top. And the reason we're not at the top is because there's not a lot for adults to do in Atlanta after hours. We have the finest airport in the world, world-class hotels, world-class restaurants, fantastic convention facilities. But after a day in meetings, if you're here as a conventioneer, there's very little for adults to do. And one of the things that we were really, really well known for among conventioneers was the Gold Club, the Cheetahs, and Magic City.
That's what I was saying. We're known for new dancing, but the politicians run away from the fact that the gambling community.
Yeah, but the politicians who say they're opposed to it, when we go out of town for conventions, they're the first ones that go to the adult entertainment places because I've been with them. So there's a lot of hypocrisy related to this. And you talked about the Bible.
What kind of reaction do you get from your colleagues?
Not necessarily my colleagues, but I was told when I first proposed a state lottery. You recall when you were there, this whole lottery. I started that, even though Zell Miller gets the credit for it and deserves the credit for it. But when we first put that issue before the citizens of Atlanta, do you favor legalized gambling in Georgia? And I predicted that 70% of the citizens of Atlanta would say yes, and it turned out only 68.9% said yes. But that was a catalyst for it. Now, at that time, though, people told me because I've been such a strong voice for legalized gambling, that that was my first and only time winning an elected office. So some 30 years later, I'm still standing and still talking about casino gambling.
Dan, can you pull us off? I mean, do you have the hopes, the chutzpah, the plan to make this work? And what is that?
Well, let me say first of all, we spent 5 years and over $1 million chasing this, so I don't know that it'll ever happen, but we believe in it. And just to clarify, our proposal is to let the Georgia Lottery run the game.
Bypassing the governor and the public.
Well, not really bypassing. It's the way the Georgia Lottery was established. They have the right to do this, and there are 8 other states that do it in the United States. They're lotteries. So this is just, for example, like Keno. Georgia Lottery runs Keno machines, but no one else in the state of Georgia is allowed to do this. So this is something the Georgia Lottery can do. It's just a simple extension of that. And it brings a new customer base to the Georgia Lottery. But can we get it done? You know, that's of course the
Does it mean the Georgia Lottery will have scored?
That's correct. That's it. Well, the lottery board, again, with the legislation that created the lottery, they are supposed to operate free of political influence. However, they are all appointed by the governor. So, in reality, it probably doesn't operate free of political influence. But what we need are 4. There's a 7-member board. We need votes to pass it.
Now, the city of Atlanta and the full county commission that give it a thumbs up. Is that right?
Well, the city of Atlanta has, but I have never, and I'll be honest, am I on? Okay, I have never taken a resolution to the Board of Commissioners of Fulton County to support gambling, because the truth of the matter is, I really don't know where my colleagues stand. And rather than take it to them and have it fail, I just work around it, quite frankly, and work with the city of Atlanta and some of the state legislators. And in this particular case, working with Leary and his proposal for the VLTs in and around Atlanta.
Dan, you're saying this is not really gambling. It's not really. We think of casino, we think of Las Vegas, Atlantic City, and some other places to the south.
Right.
This is a different game.
Well, Mayor, you bring up a great point, and it's somewhat of a challenge for us because on one hand, we try to explain to folks that first of all, it is gambling, but the lottery is gambling. The lottery is gambling, and so we kind of the double-edged sword when we send our message out, because on one hand, what we're saying is really these VLT machines, stands for Video Lottery Terminal, they look like slot machines. They do nothing more than distribute a scratch-off ticket in a different, entertaining way. And I would even argue to some degree right now, in a very crude fashion, the lottery already has VLT machines. And let me explain. I don't know if you've ever been to a Kroger or a Publix, and as you're walking out the door, there is a vending machine. And that vending machine has about 20 different scratch-off tickets in it, different denominations. So if you choose to play that game, you walk over to the machine, pull money out of your pocket, stick it into a machine, select the game that you want to play, push a button, the card drops out of the bottom, you scratch off, and if you're a winner, you walk over to the cashier and get paid. Now, compare that to what we proposed. Instead of having 20 different games in the machine, you have 20 games. I'm doing an apples-to-apples comparison. So this time, you simply just walk over to that scratch-off ticket game that you want to play that is a machine. You walk over to that machine. It's got the exact same odds of winning as the scratch-off ticket. You pull your money out of your pocket. You stick it in the machine. You push a button. And the only thing that's different in your experience is that the answer pops up in the window instead of you having to scratch off the ticket. Now, having said that, technically, mechanically, the odds of winning, you can see there is no difference. None. But it is a much more entertaining way of playing the game. And because of that, it brings a whole new audience to the Georgia Lottery.
Like who? I mean, there's some simple safety elements to it. I mean, those are the morals. Mayor, CB said he's against regular states.
Right.
He's against it because of the element like that.
Well, I would say, first of all, we don't have to guess what's going to happen. Do you know that there are only 2 states in the entire United States that don't offer any form of gaming? And then there are approximately 8 to 10 states that offer just traditional lottery gaming, which is what the state of Georgia has. And then all of the other states, all of them, offer VLT gaming or greater. So all we have to do are go to the states that offer gaming and look what's happened there. Here's what's happened. Crime's gone down. Jobs. In phase 1 of our project, we will employ 1,000 new people. In just phase 1. Crime goes down, jobs go up, money goes up, and if you don't want to play the game, you don't have to. You might come to our facility, see a great show, have a great dinner, go back to your hotel, go back to your home.
And you two talk about really re-energizing, reviving, rebuilding underground.
That's the key to this effort, because he's there. He's done a great job with it. I mean, under difficult circumstances. But this is what's been missing in downtown Atlanta. And can you just imagine, with us being a major convention city, a major city for black families in particular to visit, and just visitors in general, if we had something like this there, not only would you go there for participating in the gambling aspect of it, but the restaurants and the shows. What Dan is saying is that this will look like a full gaming casino like Las Vegas. It will feel like one. There'll be no real difference, quite frankly. And to your other point about, these unsavory characters and all of that, well, the truth of the matter is the people who play the lottery as is now, that's the sort of the lower income crowd. This, what he's talking about, will bring middle and upper income people because you have the shows and the first class restaurants that will be a part of the new underground market. So anybody who says that this will bring in unsavory characters and crime and so forth is simply uninformed.
Right now, I'm down around 5 Post Lot. It's not the nicest place to be. To be honest, it's all over young black thugs, teenagers. I'm not even in the dime there. But will that change?
Absolutely. Why don't you talk about the amount of money you spend on public safety and security?
I'll answer the question with what Rob was discussing, but then I'll kind of backtrack a little bit to give you an idea of how this really will change. First of all, the city of Atlanta wants to do the right thing. They always want to do the right thing, but they've got the same problem that virtually every municipality has, and that's they've got the money. Furloughing officers, and it's going the other direction. The great thing about a project like this is it generates so much money that can go to so many factors that help the city. We have budgeted for the first year $5 million a year that will go strictly towards security. Some of that will be for inside our facility. A lot of it will be for the surrounding area around our facility. Our marketing budget, as an example, we budget for the first year $10 million for marketing. $10 million. The Atlanta Convention and Visitors Bureau, that is the largest marketing arm of the entire city, their budget is $10 million a year. By year 5, our marketing budget is $50 million a year. That's going to bring a lot of folk to downtown Atlanta. Now, we're not going to make a $500 million investment and not know that we aren't willing to have the ability to spend the money to have the proper security, not just to make our facility safe, but that entire surrounding area. The other two things I want to mention is we have definitely considered that. But the two other things I want to mention is this crime thing tends to keep coming up more than anything. I mean, most folks really aren't against gaming that we found. It's just, what about crime? What about crime? Well, two things I'll mention. For those of you who live in Atlanta long enough and remember what used to be Centennial Olympic Park is and what it used to be, man, that was a war zone. I went to school at Georgia State University. What my friends and I used to go over to CNN all the time because they used to have a movie theater down there. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Yeah, absolutely. It was really the only place to go do anything.
There's some clothing. That's the place to go. That Hawks are running.
Yeah, back then, that's right. But it used to be a parking lot. It was very unsafe. But look at it today. When you spend the right money, do the right thing. It's fantastic. The other thing is, talking about unsavory characters, go to the one spot in the United States that has the highest concentration of the most legal form of gaming there is. That's the Strip in Las Vegas, right? If anybody has ever gone to Vegas, I would challenge you. You take any time of the day or night, any day of the week, and go stand on the Las Vegas Strip, and then walk with me back to the 5 Points Mark Station, where there is no casino. And you tell me, where do you feel safer? And the point is, they've got the money to do it right. And that's what this facility will do.
But do you have goals? Do you have goals? It's a political will, political muscle. Hey, do you have those goals? Can you do it? That's what it matters. That's what it takes. Or will it be a referendum on the goals as well?
Well, that is all it takes. And quite frankly, we don't know the answer. We don't know if we have 4 votes or not. Over time, we're going to figure that out. But I will tell you what we do have is a tremendous amount of groundswell support from the business community, the civic community, and even the legislative community. There is a lot of support for this. There is a lot of support for it. But I'll tell you why. It's because the money goes to the Hope Scholarships. That's why. And let me tell you something. Folks don't know this. The Hope Scholarship is in big trouble. And to quantify that, the group that spends the money that the lottery makes, it's called the Student Finance Committee. About 3 weeks ago under the Capitol, in the Higher Education Committee, the head of the Student Finance Committee was testifying. And one of the legislators said to the head of the Student Finance Committee, all right, look, you've got these charts up there, and you show that the expense line of the HOPE is now, next year, 2010, it's going to cross. In other words, our expenses are going to be higher than the revenue that's coming from the lottery. But how bad is this really? You know, when we changed the legislation a few years ago, and we decreased the benefit to the HOPE Scholar by a third, they employed 3 triggers. If things got worse, they cut the book allowance in half. If it got worse again, they do away with the book allowance. And then if it got worse again, they do away with the...
You're saying that this could possibly potentially save the whole scholarship. If you were the path that what else?
If they don't do anything in 5 years, the HOPE Scholarship will be installed.
What's the problem? Then why does it seem to me that someone saying, well, I'm not sure about this. He's a future American. 2 of them said, even last week before, 3 others said, we're not sure.
Well, I really can't answer that because I haven't talked to them, but normally what we find out is what Commissioner Pitt said, is that they don't understand, they haven't taken the time to really study the gaming industry. Because there's a lot of these old myths out there about what it brings and what happens, but when you look factually at what happens, it's completely different.
There's also facts to you, Commissioner Pitts.
Let me follow up just for a moment when he's sitting here, because it's important to recognize that the HOPE Scholarship and the pre-K program are both in trouble. And those 7 members of the lottery board, when they were sworn in, they pledged, is a good word. And one of the things that they're responsible for, the most important thing, is to ensure the continued viability of the program, of the HOPE program, and the pre-K program. And to do that, as Dan said earlier, free of political influence. And what's happening is the government, I just say it as I say it all the time, he's a hypocrite. And what he's doing, he is strong-arming those 7 members. I think I'm a little more optimistic about those 4 votes than Dan is right now. But what's going to be required, in spite of the fact that there's support in the business community, in spite of the fact that there are some state representatives and some state senators who support it, what's really going to have to happen is that the public is going to have to get involved and demand that the lottery board take a position on this, both for it or against it. If they vote against it, they're impacting the education of the next generation and the generation of Georgia children. We're already at the bottom. So I don't have to sit there and be a member of that board and not support this when it won't cost taxpayers 1 red cent, not a dime.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions, don't forget to get to the Tara Court. So before the gentleman leave, questions to Tara Court, the criminal ladies and ceremonies, and she will read off some of the concerns and questions. But it's so big right now. We talked about the mayoral candidacy last week and everything is, are you going to run for mayor?
Well, I mean, I'm asked that probably 100 times a day, and I'm going to make up my mind in the next 3 or 4 weeks. The probability is yes, and the reason is the city of Atlanta, which I love, which everybody loves, is in trouble. What I can tell you is that at 5:45, strike at 4:45 p.m. on December 31st, 2001, when I took my last box of stuff out of City Hall, the budget was balanced, and the city had at least 1,600 fewer employees than they have now. What's happened, I don't know. I'm a big supporter of the mayor, but something is wrong at City Hall, and somebody has to go in there and fix it. And the truth of the matter is, I've been waiting for someone that I thought had what it takes to go in from an experience point of view, from a business point of view, from a political point of view, to go in and do what needs to be done. And I haven't seen that person. I haven't seen that person. There's nobody around with my body of political experience. I know what needs to be done, I have experience to do it, and I'm prepared to do it.
What happened 8 years ago? You could have head and shoulders above. You could have been front runner by far.
Well, I mean, you got to understand, if you go back to 2001 in that race, I missed the runoff by 118
Not even now.
Not even now.
She's
Yeah, but she's my mayor as well. We all got to fix this thing, and I can fix it. I know it needs to be done, and it's going to take will. It's going to take experience. No time on the job training. I've been there. You can count on one hand elected officials in this city, in this county, who have both city and county experience and run a business.
Have you been urged on as a business minister? Dan, single county?
It's what?
As a business minister.
I get calls all the time. My people are calling me, my strong supporters, and they would ask me, we're getting calls from all these other candidates, and we're not making any commitment until you decide what you're going to do. By the way, there's a poll that's in the works right now with, time in alphabetical order. Now the borders is back in Borders, Norwood, Pitts, Reed, and Sites. Just. And I know what the results are going to be. I'm going to come out on top. Every poll has come out. So that's
you know.
Absolutely. People know me. People know me, and they know what I can do, and they know what I'm prepared to do. So it's just going to be a question of whether I'm going to do it or not, or whether one of those who have already announced and raised the question. Look at it. Nobody's raised any money. Some have been running for 2 years, and you raised $300,000 in 2 years. Well, they talk about 3 or 4 million. It's not going to take that much. It never does. You waste a lot of money. I mean, I can have one fundraiser raise $300,000 or $400,000 in a night. $1,000. I always do. It's not a big deal. But you take people who've been running for more than 2 years and only have $300,000. That says something, right?
You sound like it's what I raised.
Well, I mean, I love campaigning. I love people. People know me. I know the city. I know what needs to be done. Somebody has to fix it. And what happens politically, when people are determined who they're going to vote for, more often than not, your qualifications and your experience mean absolutely nothing. I'm voting for this one because we went to school together. I knew his brother. Our kids play soccer together. We attend the same church. That nothing about experience, nothing about qualifications.
Is that what matter this time?
That's one of the things I'm looking for.
That's one of the things.
One of the things that I'm looking at that, and the other thing is the Obama factor. We have a lot of young people registered, and there's a lot of young voters in Atlanta who may not know what I've done, and so that's an issue. Whether they're going to be energized, they didn't go to the extent that everybody thought they would in the presidential election, and whether they can get them to come back to the polls in the mayoral election is another question as well. They may see me as being old school with experience and knowledge and can do the job, but they may identify with somebody else. That's another city out there.
And that's what you're weighing
I'm weighing it down more than anything else. What will this Obama factor mean?
Tom, any questions?
Yes, we do have a couple of questions from the audience. The first one is actually a very popular question regarding minority business representation, how minority-owned businesses can become part of this and benefit from gambling if it does come into.
Well, first of all, I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of opportunity for that. And just running underground that in general, the city, and this is prior to me getting involved, the city actually plays a minority requirement with the operator underground. But, I used to own South DeKalb Mall. My company leases and manages Greenbrier Mall, which are in great African American communities. And I will tell you, we don't need a requirement to have minority firms come work with us. As a matter of fact, the one woman who does the special leasing for us at Underground, I help her start her own company. Her company actually does the car leasing program at Greenbrier Mall. So we are completely not just supportive of it, but a lot of times I have questions asked. It's kind of like, are you going to uphold that? Well, you know what? There is so much talent in the African American community in Atlanta. We find it to be we get some really good talent from this.
You get a lot of credit out crews training around South Campbell. We had some lot of success in Greenbrier, although there was some tragic shootings there. Right. Where are you looking? The citizens still got a lot of money to undergird the underground. Yeah. What's happening there?
Well, I want to clarify a few things. Before my partner and I, John Animal, got involved in Underground Atlanta was 46% leased. And of the remaining tenants, 90% of them had given the city notice that they were going to leave like within 90 days. I mean, it was going to be boarded up. And I can tell you that a closed down Underground Atlanta is going to cost the city of Atlanta a whole lot more than somebody that's able to keep it up. We have not lost money at Underground Atlanta, okay? But way back prior to us getting involved, the city spent $140 million on that property. Now, a part of it they never talk about, that included the plaza area, which don't generate income, this public space. It was 2 parking garages, which, by the way, generate $2 million a year for the city of Atlanta. And so those facts aren't exactly right. But when we took over from Underground, we just said, look, we had nothing to do with the debt the city put on this place. But what we promise you we'll do is we will work extremely hard to turn Underground Atlanta around. And if we do, it's a profit-sharing venture with the city. Basically, it's a 50-50 split. So as Underground gets better, the citizens of the city benefit. Let me go. Well, I'll tell you this, we're about 85% leased. We've never lost money at Underground Atlanta, ever. They were losing, hemorrhaging money before we took it over. But to make Underground the jewel it ought to be, it needs a big idea like this game. And oh, by the way, on the game we proposed to the city, which the city still owes $56 million of bonds, that we will buy Underground Atlanta from the city for $56 million, so we get them completely off the hook.
Mr. Leary, if we could revisit the previous question. If you can give us some ballpark numbers in terms of percentages, dollar amounts of what you expect to be able to bring in revenue, and what percentage of that is going to go to the Black community as well as minority-owned businesses. You know, you're bringing in $100 million.
Right.
What percentage of that is going to benefit minority-owned businesses?
Well, I would say at this point, I really don't know the answer to that. Well, that is a good question. I just don't know the answer to that. What I will say is that we're going to be out there looking for great qualified firms. Look, if you look at the community that surrounds us at Underground, it's predominantly African American. And we find our best candidates that typically come from within the community. South DeKalb Mall is a great example of that. I will tell you, the reason South DeKalb, everybody says, gosh, how did you turn South DeKalb Mall around so quickly? Well, the answer was, you know what the previous owners thought for? This mall will never be successful if we can't get white people to come here and shop. Honest to goodness, that was their mentality. And you know what I said? You gotta be kidding me.
You have no ballpark idea, no ballpark figure?
On what? So, well, I can give you the ballpark figure on the amount of money that we think that it will raise. But again, I don't have any ballpark figure on what would go to a minority business. I haven't sat down and thought through that aspect of it. In phase 1, we would redo Underground Atlanta. We would spend somewhere between $50 and $100 million redoing Underground. What we propose to the lottery is that half the money out of the machines would go to the Hope Scholarship. Now, the one promise we've made to the lottery is outside of them actually buying the machines, we would cover the expense of everything. The 1,000 employees that are on site, the cost of facility and so forth. So anyway, long story short, we would generate roughly, $300 million total. Half of that would go to the lottery board. Then the other $150 million comes, and we got to pay off the $100 million in debt, the 1,000 jobs, the $5 million security budget, the $10 million, and those are those contracts that we can start looking at minority businesses to come in and play a role in. So we're looking at about $150 million. Rob, I don't know if you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I think Dan has been very cautious, and I understand that. But the reality of it is, of those 1,000 jobs, and he and I had this conversation, and the question has been answered before. Of those 1,000 plus jobs, first of all, many of those jobs are probably a majority of those are local people versus out of state and statewide, which will capture a lot of blacks and other minorities. And on the business side itself, standing right beside him, we're going to do what's right, and whatever, I mean, the city may have 30, 40% participation. I mean, I can say here, sit here tonight and say that I'm confident that those will be the numbers that we will.
Say it again.
30 to 40%.
Of that 150 million.
Yeah. Because we've got construction that'll take place, and we'll have, I mean, also we'll get jobs. We've got a lot of construction that's going to take place, and we have a mature minority construction company in the community to come in and work side by side.
You feel comfortable with that? 30%?
Well, he doesn't know. He doesn't know, but I've been at it longer than he has, and I know what kind of pressure the city can bring, the county can bring on the operators, and I think it'll be sensible.
Tara, one last question.
Okay, Mayor, the last question is because most of our audience, a large segment of our audience is entrepreneurs. And they want to know, if you can talk about what specific industries might be impacted through the casinos if it comes to Atlanta. Is it marketing, construction, IT,
There's certainly a lot of industries that this project would touch. There's, and I'll just try to start naming off as many as I can, but security, housekeeping, construction, just the jobs themselves that are created within the project. They call them cage counters, the folks that make change, the money counters that actually take the money into the vault. You've got PR firms, you've got legal firms, you've got marketing firms. It just, it really, and look, think about it. Let's talk about marketing. We're talking about 4 or 5 years, $50 million. Man, that is a lot.
Tell me what to do, but your final thoughts and give you a good feeling. You can give everybody else a political thing. Bullets fly, I mean, you can beat the drum for a while. Is this the time when you still think they're not ready?
No,
What's your
full gaming
goals?
Full gaming casinos and horse races are further down the road. Dan's proposal for Underground Atlanta is doable now. It just takes 4 of those 7 members to vote yes. And if when we get those 4 votes and get it approved, he will be up and running in less than 12 months. So it's not a long construction period at all. So I'm confident that it's going to happen.
Gambling, perhaps thank you so much. Now, Leary, it was a pleasure to meet you. Thanks so much. And are we going to call you Mayor Rob Pitts in January? Mayor Pitts? Thank you so much for joining us, man. And you will let us know, I'm sure, when you do decide.